I forgot already.
Okay, good morning, everyone. This is Laura Tibbetts in the system office. I'm showing that we have our committee present. And with that, I will turn it over to Chair Tinsley to begin the meeting.
Thank you, Laura. Good morning and welcome to the Telephonic Rules and Regulations Committee meeting for May 17, 2023. I'm Regent Allen Tinsley, chair of this committee. The time is 11 o'clock a.m. Central Daylight Time. Notice of this meeting was provided to the Secretary of State as required by the Texas Open Meetings Act, Government Code Chapter 551. Please note that the audio of this meeting is being broadcast live. Before we take a roll call, I would like to remind everybody to please mute their phones unless you need to speak. Laura, let's begin the roll call with the committee members in any other regions.
Okay, we'll start with you, Chair Tinsley.
Here.
Regent Foskey.
Here.
Regent Flores.
Present.
Do we have any other regents on the call? Thank you.
Thank you. May we have a roll call of the system office and component representatives, please?
Sure, start. Let me see who this is. Do we have? Sorry, we're just muting. Okay, starting with Chancellor McCall. I saw him on, he may be rejoined. Oh yeah, there he is. Okay. Nellie Herrera.
Present.
Daniel Harper.
Here.
Sandy Poole. Here. Derek Alexander.
Here.
John Hayek.
Here.
Carol Fox.
Here.
Sean Cunningham.
Here.
Pierce Mitchell.
Here.
And did I miss anyone from the system office? Okay, thank you. Moving down to Lamar University.
Jaime Taylor,
Mark Robinson. Burt Wagner.
and that's it.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Sam Houston.
Elisa White. Withers.
Okay, and Sol Ross.
Carlos Hernandez.
Bernie Canton.
Thank you. Texas State.
Kelly Damphus.
Eric Algo.
Lisa Lloyd. Thank you. LIT.
Sid Valentine, Angela Hill, and Mary Wickland.
Thank you. Lamar State College Orange.
Tom Johnson, Wendy Elmore, Mary Wickland.
Thank you. And Lamar State College Port Arthur.
Good morning. This is Betty Renard and Mary Wickland.
Thank you. And again, I'm seeing Chancellor McCall, who might be muted on. He's traveling, so just wanted to. Did I miss anyone else? Okay, you may proceed, Chair Tinsley.
Thank you. With that, I'd like to note that Nellie Herrera briefed me on the agenda items prior to the meeting. At this time, I ask that she present the Rules and Regulations Committee agenda items.
Thank you, Chairman Tinsley. Today, we'll be discussing changes to 14 system rules. The first proposed change is located on page RR1, or if you're following along in the board book, it's page 271. The proposed change is to Chapter 1, Paragraph 3.1. Here, we are eliminating the term comprehensive from the title of the paragraph. The proposed change is being submitted by Daniel Harper, our Vice Chancellor and CFO. Daniel, would you like to speak to this item?
Yes, ma'am. The first one is, simply eliminates the term comprehensive in front of the word universities. Comprehensive is a term used in our world at the coordinating board to reference a certain group of universities in which Sul Ross and Texas State are not considered.
Chairman Tinsley, if there are any questions about this, we're happy to answer them now, or else I can proceed to the next item.
Regents, do you have any questions regarding this item? Nellie, please proceed to the next item.
Thank you. The second item is located on page RR2 or in Board Book 272. We're adding a new section to Chapter 2, Paragraph 1.3 related to resolutions or declarations of employee organizations. This new provision applies only to employee organizations and is intended to encourage participation by majority of eligible memberships of such organizations. The new provision requires that resolutions issued by these organizations be based on a majority of the organization's eligible membership before a campus or the system can consider such declarations or resolutions. And Chairman Tinsley, I'm happy to answer any questions about this item, or I'll continue to the next one.
Regents, are there any questions? Nellie, please proceed to the next item.
So the third proposal is change to our system rules located on page RR3 or Board Book 273. Here we're updating the reference in Chapter 3, Paragraph 1.6 of the system policies by identifying them as the Texas State University System's published policies versus the Chancellor's published policies. Proposal is also submitted by Vice Chancellor Harper. Daniel, would you like to speak to the item?
Yes, ma'am. The policies and procedures mentioned here are actually also approved by the board. And as Nellie said, this just aligns this section of the rule with another section and the policy that is actually adopted.
Chairman Tinsley, if there are no questions about this one, I'll move to the next one.
Regents, are there any questions on this item? Nellie, please proceed to the next item.
Thank you. So our fourth proposed rule change, it's located on page RR4 or in Board Book 274. Here we are modifying Chapter 3, Paragraph 1, parentheses 10 regarding curriculum matters, which require board approval. This item was submitted by our Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs, Dr. John Haig. Dr. Haig, would you like to speak to this item?
Thank you, Nellie. The first change was flagged by Tammy Rice, our Chief Data Officer, and the proposal is to make our reporting language more flexible related to the wider range of academic terms that our institutions now utilize. In the past, it was more limited to traditional fall, spring, summer terms, and our campuses are now utilizing many different types of terms to help increase student access and success, including partial terms, 12-week terms, 8 and 5-week terms, in addition to the traditional 16-week terms. The second change is related to cleaning up and streamlining our reporting language related to course additions, deletions, and changes. In the past, every change, even course title changes, will be reported quarterly to the board. This change allows campuses to report these as part of their statutory requirements on an annual basis. The side benefit, it will reduce our agenda book by probably 30 to 40 pages on the average, which is nice. The changes to actual degree programs will still come before the board for approval.
Thank you, John. Chair Tinsley, if there are no questions to this item, I will move on to the fifth item.
Regents, do any of you have any questions regarding this item? Nellie, please proceed to the next item.
The fifth proposed change is located on page RR5 or in Board Book 275. The proposed change is to Chapter 3, Paragraph 1, parentheses 12.1 and 1, parentheses 12.2. This would allow the presidents and the chancellor to accept gifts within their delegated authority. The gifts would still be reported to the board, and all gifts outside their delegated authority would still require board approval. Proposal is submitted by Vice Chancellor Harper. Daniel, would you like to speak to this item?
Yes, ma'am. So in addition to your layout, I just state that this is administrative relief and fall into that category. As the value of everything continues to increase, more and more is being caught by this. And so this would essentially allow what we have historically done just to be caught up kind of for inflation.
Thank you, Daniel. Chair Tinsley, if there are no questions, I'll move on to the next item.
Regents, are there any questions regarding this item? Nellie, please proceed to the next item.
The sixth proposed change is located on page RR6 or Board Book 276. The changes are proposed here to Chapter 3, Paragraph 5 relating to academic and health affair procedures. The changes are submitted by Vice Chancellor Hayek. John, would you like to speak to this item?
Sure, thank you. Consistent with the previous proposed change, this one includes updating, including some language related to the work of the Academic and Health Affairs Committee, as well as previously mentioned, streamlining the reporting and approval process for curriculum changes supported by the institutions. Per state reporting requirements, a complete course inventory will still be submitted on an annual basis. This change is also consistent with how other university systems are currently reporting routine course changes. Again, all new academic programs, as well as changes to existing academic programs, will still come to the board for approval.
Thank you. Chair Tinsley, if there are no questions about this item, I can continue with the next item.
Regents, are there any questions regarding this item? Kelly, please proceed to the next item.
Thank you. The seventh proposed change is located on page RR9 or in Board Book 279. This new language is being proposed to Chapter 3, Paragraph 9 relating to naming initiatives. The new language would only apply in cases where naming motions for former campus presidents have been approved. The new provision requires that the chancellor, in consultation with the chair of our board, approve the signage of a building to be named for a former president. Approval of the signage must occur within a specific time frame. If the approval does not occur within the stated time frame, the previously approved board motion is deemed withdrawn. Chair Tinsley, I'm happy to take any questions on this item. If there are no questions, I can move on to the next.
Regents, does anyone have any questions regarding this item? Nellie, please proceed with the next item.
Thanks, sir. The eighth proposed change is located on page RR10 or Board Book 280. Here we are deleting reference to the phrase Council of Presidents in Chapter 4, Paragraph 5. The proposal is submitted by Vice Chancellor Harper. Daniel, would you like to speak to this item?
Yes, ma'am. The Council of Presidents is an antiquated reference to our old structure, and this no longer exists, so we're proposing striking it from the rules.
Thank you. Chair Tinsley, if there are no questions, I'll move on to the ninth item.
Regents, are there any questions regarding this item? Nellie, please proceed to the next item.
So the ninth proposed change is located on page RR11 or Board Book 281. The change deletes the salary authority rule in Chapter 5, Paragraph 4.16, submitted again by Vice Chancellor Harper. Daniel?
Yes, ma'am. So this is also an antiquated reference. About 20 years ago or so, the legislature changed how they finance higher ed, and now they do not limit the CEO compensation, unlike they do for regular state agencies. The legislature does have a cap on what presidential pay is from appropriated funds, and that is at $66,000. And has not changed again in over 2 decades. And so this rule, since it didn't catch up with how things have changed with respect to legislative funding, essentially all faculty salaries now fall under this provision, which is, we don't believe was the original intent of the rule.
Thank you, Daniel. Chair Tinsley, if there are any questions for Daniel, if there are no questions for Daniel, I'm happy to move on to the next item.
Regents, does anyone have any questions regarding this item? Nellie, please proceed to the next item.
Thank you. So the 10th proposed change, it's located on page RR 12 or in Board Book 282. This proposed change is to Chapter 5, paragraph 4.53 and 4.54. The changes clarify the process for a summary dismissal. Our rules have for a long time contained a provision regarding summary dismissal, but we've never spelled out the process for this procedure. So the new language will basically expressly state what the process is for summary dismissals. Chair Tinsley, I'm happy to take any questions on this one. Otherwise, I can move to the next item.
Regents, does anyone have any questions regarding this item? Nellie, please proceed to the next item.
Yes, sir. So the 11th proposed change is it's located at page RR 13 or in Board Book 283. The proposed change is to Chapter 6, paragraph 5.2, parentheses 13. It eliminates the phrase "or recommending" because the belief is that that phrase it adds ambiguity to our rule, making it susceptible to possibly a constitutional attack. Somebody could take the position that we are trying to impinge on a person's First Amendment right of free speech, which we are not wanting to do. So we have eliminated that ambiguous phrase. And Chair Tinsley, I'm happy to take any questions on this item. Otherwise, I'll move on to the next.
Regents, anyone have any questions regarding this item? Nellie, please proceed to the next item.
Yes, sir. So the next one is the 12th. It's our 12th proposed change. It's located on page RR 14 or in Board Book 284. The proposed change is Chapter 6, paragraph 14, and it relates to foreign travel. It's pretty straightforward. All we're doing here is we're expanding the COVID-19 language in foreign travel rule to simply refer to COVID-19 and any of its variants. I'm happy to take any questions on this one, or I'll move on to the next item, Chair Tinsley.
Regents, are there any questions regarding this item? Nellie, please proceed to the next item.
Yes, sir. So the 13th proposed item, it's located at page RR 15 or in Board Book 285. We are adding a brand new chapter related to private support organizations. The new chapter consists of a number of best practices for private support organizations. This new chapter will only apply to private support organizations created after May of 2023. All existing private support organizations will continue to be governed by the chapter we have in place right now in our rules. Our existing private support organizations do not have to adhere to the new chapter, but if they choose to do so, that would be wonderful. This new chapter, I would like to thank the members of the Office of General Counsel and my Vice Chancellor colleagues for their input in putting this chapter together. This chapter has also been put forth by Daniel, our Vice Chancellor and CFO. Daniel, would you like to speak to this item?
Yeah, just one thing I'd add is in addition to that is, over the years, we kind of struggled with, small issues across various foundations. And it was kind of clear that, over time, that it'd be good to come back and look at what the best practices are present day. And, we believe, and we worked with the presidents as well to establish what we would consider best practices for how you would structure these. And as Nellie indicated, we're hopeful that the existing private support organizations will consider these and to the extent that they're agreeable, include some of these provisions moving forward.
Thank you, Daniel. Chair Tinsley, we're happy to take any questions about this item. Otherwise, I'll move on to the last one.
Regents, are there any questions on this item? Nellie, please proceed to the next item.
Thank you. So the final proposed change, it's located on page RR 21 or in Board Book 291. The proposed change is to Chapter 10, paragraph 5, and it will reflect the process that we currently have in place for our annual comprehensive review of our system rules and regulations. This was submitted by our Vice Chancellor and CFO, Daniel Harper. Daniel, you want to speak to this item?
No, I think you did a great job. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Chair Tinsley, that concludes my presentation this morning of all the items to be presented to the committee.
Regents, are there any questions regarding this item? Thank you, Nellie. Regent Foskey, are there any items that you would like to move off the consent agenda for consideration by the full board?
No, sir.
Regent Flores, are there any items that you would like to move off the consent agenda for consideration by the full board?
No, sir.
As no one is requesting that we remove any item off the consent agenda, Regent Foskey and Regent Flores, I move that we recommend board approval of the proposed changes to the system rules on the consent agenda. Regent Foskey, do you agree?
Yes, sir.
Regent Flores, do you agree?
I agree.
Thank you, Regent Foskey and Regent Flores, for your responses. Considering those responses, the proposed changes to the system rules will remain on the consent agenda with the committee's recommendation for approval. As there are no further items to consider, this concludes the business of the Rules and Regulations Committee and concludes today's telephonic meeting. Thanks to everyone for calling and taking part. And for the record, the time is 11:21 a.m.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Have a good day,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.